Alright guys, this is the next exercise 9.10 and this is question 4. So what you're going to find in each of these questions is they're always going to give you an arithmetic series, because that's what we've done the last couple of chapters. They're always going to give you a formula for S of n. The formula for S of n will be different in every question. Okay, that's one thing you might be guaranteed. Now, what we've got to remember is we have to find out what the first term A is and the common difference D. So this is more or less what we did earlier. What we can say is that you know that S1 equals T1, S2 equals T1 plus T2. Okay? So lads, what you need to do here is the following. To find out what S1 is, and hence T1, replace all n's with 1's. 2 times 1 squared minus 3 times 1. Okay? So that's going to be 2 minus 3 equals minus 1. Therefore, T1 equals minus 1. What we know about T1 is, if it's the first term, that's your A value. A is T1, and T1 is minus 1. Therefore, A equals minus 1. Next thing we need to find out is what's T2. Because the gap between T1 and T2 tells us what the difference is. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to find S2. S2 equals 2 multiplied by 2 squared. We're just reusing the formula up here. Minus 3 times 2. This is going to be 8 minus 6. Therefore, S2 equals 2. Now, what you got to realise is that S2 is T1 added to T2. So, T1 plus T2 ends up to be 2. We know that T1 is minus 1. Minus 1 plus T2 equals 2. This means that T2 is the number 3. Okay? This one here, T1 is minus 1. T2 is 3. This makes this series minus 1, 3. There's a gap of 4 in between them. So the next one would be 7. This means your difference is 4. A is minus 1 and D equals plus 4. The sum of the first n terms, S of n, of a arithmetic series is given by the formula S of n equals 2n squared minus 4n. Find the first term A and the common difference. So once again, what you want to write down is S1 equals T1, S2 equals T1 plus T2. So basically, what you're going to find out first and foremost is what is T1. So replace all n's in this formula with 1. 2 times 1 squared minus 4 times 1. 2 minus 4 equals minus 2. This means S1 is minus 2, which means T1 is minus 2. After that, you're going to find out what S2 is. S2 is going to be replace all n's with 2. So 2 times 2 squared minus 4 times 2. That gives me 8 minus 8, which is 0. So what we know now, after all these workings here, is that S1 equals minus 2, but S2 equals 0. Now, what we know about S2 is S2 has to equal 0. So T1 plus T2 has to equal 0. We know that T1 is minus 2, but we don't know what T2 has to be. So minus 2 plus T2 equals 0. What does T2 have to be?
Minus 2. Plus 2.
T2 is plus 2. Okay?
That's alright.
Next thing. We now know that T1 is minus 2. We know that T2 is plus 2. What's the difference between the two of these? 4. The difference between minus 2 and plus 2 is 4. And the A value is the first term, which is minus 2. What we need to do is we need to find out what Tn is. And the formula for Tn is A plus n minus 1 times D. Okay, so you write down A plus n minus 1 times D. Now what you do next is you plug in your numbers. Minus 2 plus n minus 1 times 4. Okay, you multiply them by the 4. You get minus 2 plus 4n minus 4. And then we're going to get 4n minus 6. Tn is 4n minus 6. Just by using the numbers from the answer of part 1. A is minus 2 and D is 4. Yeah. Next thing we're going to do, okay. Next thing we're going to do is find what T20 is. T20 is 4 times 20 minus 6. Okay? So it's 80 minus 6, which is 74. Now, T20 could also be found by taking away S20 minus S19. The only difference between S19 and S20 is that you're adding on the 20th term, T20. So, to find out what S20 is and S19, all you gotta do is use your S formula at the start, and which is 2n squared minus 4n. So it's going to be 2n squared minus 4n. Replace all n's with 20. So 2 times 20 squared minus 4 times 20. For the second one, replace everything with 19. And will somebody just quickly do that on the calculator? I'll do the second one if you'll do the first one. For which one?
For the first two, that one you suggested.
The one I'm doing on the board? Okay, that's 646. And lads, what is the other one? 2 times 20 squared. I think it's 720.
Yeah.
720. Now, what does the equation ask us to do? It asks us to take away S19 from S20. So it's 720 minus 646. And what you're going to find is the answer to that one should be 74. Is the answer 74?
Yeah.
Yeah, the answer is 74. 74. The same answer we got for T20. 74. 74. Okay. Finally, start with the first term. How many terms of the series must be added up to give a sum of 160? How many terms must be added? Is that Tn or Sn? Sn equals 160. So Sn equals 160. So Sn is 2n squared minus 4n. This has to equal 160. This is a quadratic equation. Bring over to 160 and you get 2n squared minus 4n minus 160. You could do a minus b here, but what you'll notice is that everything is divisible by 2. N squared minus 2n minus 80. You do the reference number. What's the reference number of minus 80, lads? What two things multiply together to give you minus 80 but have a difference of 2? Give me 2 factors of 80. That won't work because the gap between them is 38 and not 2. 8 and 10. Which one has to be negative? Which one has to be negative?
10.
The 10. Okay. So you get n minus 10, n plus 8 equals 0. So that's what you get here is the following. Jack, n minus 10 equals 0, n equals 10. Or n plus 8 equals 0, n equals 8, minus 8. So guys, n equals 10 has to be the answer because n has to be a positive number. That's the end of that part, okay? Alright guys.